Okay, so we worked together. This is Andre, by the way. He was a client of mine.
Hello,
Um,
everyone.
he's soon to be, well, is a doctor, but soon to be official.
hmm
Um, and
Yeah, I graduate in 5 days from now,
uh,
officially.
by the time you guys see this, he will have been an
I
official.
will already be knee deep in the trenches of the
Right,
emergency department.
exactly. So, that just goes to show you that I've taught everyone from every walk of life. I've taught former Navy SEALs, doctors, him, I've taught a surgeon, I've taught, AI programmers, I've taught normal programmers, I've taught college students, I've taught just random salesmen, entrepreneurs, financiers, or like fund managers, everything, right? From the most low class to the high class to the middle class, everywhere. So this stuff works for everyone, no matter where you're from or what your background is. So me and you worked together 5 years? No, longer, 6 years ago?
Let me think. It was 2018, I believe. So
Okay.
5 years ago.
Okay, so we did the
Um,
we did
you
the
gave me a call, so
go
I
ahead.
signed up for the coaching in 2017. And
Mhm.
then I remember a few days later you gave me a call. I'm like, what's this number? It's a blocked number or whatever.
Oh, I
But
just cold called you?
yeah, and then you're like, hey, my name's Hector, blah blah blah. You gave your little pitch, and then maybe a month or two after that, I had actually purchased the coaching, and you're like, oh, I'm so happy to see your name on the list.
Perfect.
And then we started, I think it was February 2018 because it was right after a breakup that I just had.
Right. And we did the 3-month program, like the 12-week program, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Go ahead and tell me, well, let's go with what the good stuff happened. Right at the end, I think you hit 10 calls or 11 calls and then you ended up with your girlfriend, right?
Right. So we had done the coaching every week for like maybe the first four, and then I wasn't the kind of person to like go out and I didn't have a lot to talk about every week, so I think we ended up going every 2 weeks. And I ended up doing, I think, 10 coaching calls with you until I ended up with my girlfriend at the time. And I was pretty happy. I was like in a place where I wanted to be, so I didn't,
Yeah, you
feel
disappeared. You
I
just
didn't
straight
feel the
disappeared.
need to finish, and I understand that happens a lot. So
Yeah.
he's so good that you don't even need the whole time.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Um, but yeah, no. After that, I think I had one more. I had those two other calls. Ended up using them much later, but
Well, we did the
um,
last one just a week and a half ago, 5 years later.
yeah.
I
So and I know Hector doesn't do that anymore, but
no.
we go way back, so I guess
Yeah.
he made an exception. But
Hmm.
yeah, I ended up calling him. I had the tools, everything I needed to be successful in that aspect of my life, and so ended up breaking up with that girlfriend, had a different one along the way, and towards the end of that relationship as well, I gave Hector like one last call, and he it's not just about women and coaching and dating. He definitely helps you rearrange all the other aspects of your life so you can be like the complete picture. You're well-rounded in the sense of, you are very in touch and comfortable with your masculinity, and that's something that I wasn't when I first started with Hector. But toward the end of it, I became more comfortable in who I am, and that gave me the tools to succeed in the dating aspect of my life, but as well as the professional aspect of my life. And so now I'm a lot more comfortable talking to people. I'm more comfortable with confrontation if it needs to happen. And what I'm trying to get at is, he makes you a lot more well-rounded, not just in dating, but in your whole life. And that is going to seep into every aspect that you do and just make you a very solid masculine presence that everybody would have pleasure to be around.
That's awesome. It would have been more awesome if my cat didn't interrupt that by spilling an entire glass of water over. One
Oh
second.
my God.
Oh no, that's a lot of water actually, and it's right
Mm.
next to the power outlet. Okay,
Oh
one
shit.
1 second. All right, I'm just not gonna react because she does it for attention. So I'm gonna act like it doesn't bother me. See, when women do things to get your attention that are toxic, like my cat, and she's a woman. She's a cat, but she's still a woman. You must not be phased. So you ruined Andre's beautiful speech. Uh?
It's all right. Well, round two, it'll be a little bit more refined.
No, it's okay. We can keep it. We can keep it raw. It was good. Okay. All right.
So I blurred my background because I saw yours was as well.
For everyone tuning in to the random change in the videos, he gave me some tips on how to better market my Zoom calls so that
Right.
we look more presentable. And of course, my cat spilling that water that you'll see and that you just saw in the edit. Okay, so back on track. Um, okay, so helped you with the relationships, and it spanned a couple years. That's usually, I mean, I can work with clients over a long period of time. Ours was a little bit of a special case since you were like one of the OGs. Um, and so I wanted to focus on. So you gave an overview of like, okay, I got to learn how to date, how to find a girlfriend, right? So it's about
Mm-hmm.
if you want to get girls, you can get girls, but also if you want a relationship, you can have a relationship, and then the the skills that are required to have a healthy relationship as opposed to just, getting laid. But I want to go over more specifically what were some things that, really stood out to you because I remember you told me one thing that you never forgot was it was a really simple tip. You told me while we were playing Hunt,
Mm-hmm.
you said for every three jokes that I tell, I should only tell one of those jokes, and that was to you were kind of a bit of a clown.
Yeah.
Can you go into more detail about that one?
Right. So, I guess my personality developed into a clown, jokester type of, you know, person where I would try to say a funny quip or a funny little jab at every comment somebody would make. And, because I thought that by being funny, you can get girls. And it was just trying way too hard, obviously, in retrospect. And I remember when we first started coaching, you even got annoyed with me because we had like hung out with one of your friends and he said something about being in the Navy. And I said, "Oh, so you're on a boat with a bunch of seamen." And it was the kind of joke that might be appropriate with somebody you know for a while, but with somebody that you just met, it's a little off-putting. And you had mentioned that to me next time we did a call. And you're like, "Hey, you said to Leo this, this, and this." And like, I could tell he was like a little bit weirded out. And I know that's like your personality, and I know you were joking, but other people don't know when you're joking, especially if they've just met you. So, and I even had an ex-girlfriend who was always like, "I can never tell when you're serious or when you're joking." So anyway,
So you put the dots together, kind of like it was something that you've been hearing for a long time was finally explained to you more in a clear way,
yeah,
and then you
yeah,
kind of connected the dots.
yeah. So you said to me, and this is probably the best advice I've ever gotten in my life. It was very tough love, but you need that sometimes. You need like a kick in the ass to like get you on the right track and to have someone hold up a mirror to you. And you said, "I want you to say every third joke that you think about because it's going to make whenever you do say something, it's going to make it more impactful. It's, quality over quantity, and you aren't gonna look as like such a tryhard as putting in so much effort." And so I took that to heart. I implemented it, and when I started medical school, there was another guy in our class who was exactly the way I was, and I saw that kind of like, you know, from the other side of things. And I'm like, "Oh, so that's how I used to be." Like it was very
Mm.
off-putting, and I could see how hard he was trying to be friends with everybody, and everybody just kind of was like, "Oh, there's him again."
Oh,
So,
Yeah.
So it was, great life advice. Like I was saying earlier, it's not just relationships and women, but also makes you a more well-rounded person in every aspect of your social interactions. And that, social skills are invaluable because if you know how to talk to people and you know how to like navigate around people, you will be much more successful than, somebody who's very good technically at something. For example, the CEO of Boeing probably doesn't know the ins and outs of building an airplane engine, but he makes more money than the engineers because he knows how to talk to, the contracts and the employees and everybody else. So I think social skills are bar none to any other skill you can learn in life. And Hector really lays it out for you for, like me when I was like a little not getting it, a little slow with picking up cues and things like that.
Hmm. So how would you say that? So I mean, that leads into another, because what I'm essentially trying to do with these testimonies is like, I'm not trying to have you, suck my dick. I want guys I mean, I could do that myself, but 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 I want someone to watch this, and they identify with you, because I'll have other testimonies on this page, and maybe they'll watch that and be like, oh, that's cool, he's actually legit, okay, this is real. But then, because that's the first objection I want them to get over, is this real,
Hmm.
or is this guy full of shit, just some random guy on the internet? Okay, so once that objection is overcome, then they just have to decide, okay, maybe what he's teaching is real, but will it work for me?
Hmm.
Right? And so they might see a different testimony and they might connect with it. And they may see yours and they don't, or vice versa. They see someone else's and they're like, yeah, that's not really me. That's not my problem. It doesn't apply to me. Even though
Okay.
these social skills are universal, they have to be tailored specifically to you, and they're going to affect you in different ways. So what you were just talking about might help someone who's watching this and who identifies with you. So let's go over your first relationship, and then I want
Hmm.
to go over what it actually did for your job. And just think of like maybe some scenarios where it really helped with your job. And
Hmm.
then let's go over the most recent example of the relationship that is, it might still happen. Might I don't know. Did you have an update recently where it's officially done, or?
it's a bit ethereal, but yeah. So this most recent relationship we talked about, she had some sentiments toward her ex-boyfriend, and like you said, if there was nothing there completely, then those feelings wouldn't have come up. So we actually talked recently. She reached out and said, "Hey, I talked to my ex. We went to jujitsu like we used to do, and we talked. It was really good, but she doesn't want to get back together with him, as far as she says." Now, what I came to the conclusion of is that, like you said, if there was nothing there, these feelings would never have been there, and these feelings have been present over the course of our year-long relationship.
Mhm.
So, since we started dating, there was always like this shadow hanging over her. And so I said to her, "Hey, well, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you had some closure. I think that, we should still stay apart. Like we shouldn't be together because if you had these feelings, I am completely over my ex, so I was like 100% into the relationship, but you're obviously not, so we're on different pages with that. Another thing was if we were also supposed to move in together for when we start residency, and we decided to get separate places, and the reason for that was if me or you find somebody else, it's going to be really shitty living in the same house and seeing each other with different people
And hearing it.
and hearing it,
Yeah,
especially
yeah,
hearing it.
yeah, yeah. That's that's
Um,
that's torture.
yeah. And the other reason was, it wouldn't be fair to me, you, or your ex if, you did want to get back together, but like, oh, I'm still in the picture, still living with this guy.
Yeah.
Um, so it would have been an awkward situation, and we decided to end things, and I think very amicably,
Good.
um,
Good.
because at the same time, like she's been my best friend for the last year. I didn't want to lose that friendship, well, with all the memories we had. But romantically, I think we've moved on, and like I said, I think things ended very amicably, and it's the best breakup that I've had. So having these, understanding how to communicate and understanding people's motivation and where they come from, Hector explaining these things was something that really helped me piece together how people act and how they're motivated.
Mhm. So I'm actually learning this, right now because we've been talking about this situation over the past couple of weeks slash month, and I didn't know if you guys officially ended it, but I'm happy to hear that because even though it was the difficult thing to do, um, let me give the viewers. I'm gonna leave out a lot of the personal stuff, the details, because
So,
that's between me and you, of course, and I don't want to break that confidentiality. But I'll give people just a quick summary. So
mhm,
basically, you got with her. Um, and then everything was kind of going well, but there was always this specter of an ex-boyfriend where she wasn't
mhm,
fully over it for X and Y reason. It's not worth going
mhm,
into. And you did your best to be compassionate and empathetic about it. But at the same time, there's a limit where, okay, now I feel like, you know, I'm counseling my girlfriend on dating another guy. Like he's
mhm.
still kind of here, right?
Yeah,
And that obviously impacted the relationship in 10 different ways. And even though I think that you were personally doing everything quite well, this just goes to show you that you could do everything right, but a person just isn't ready. And
yeah,
that was perfectly exemplified once you guys were about to move in together. And then she decided at the last moment to say no, we're not going to move in together. And then the other thing that she did, and kind of makes you think, okay, you haven't betrayed me in any way, you haven't cheated on me, it's not like you're texting your ex-boyfriend, so there isn't
mhm,
any actual violation happening, but there still is this looming shadow of your past lack of closure. Let's not even call it trauma, it's not that dramatic, it's just lack of closure. But that lack of closure demonstrates that there is still lingering feelings, because you can
mhm,
mask it all you want. That was the big thing I was trying to tell you over our recent talks. I was like, you can say it 10 different ways to make it look pretty, but if you look at it for the shit that it is,
mhm,
right? It's disgusting, but you have to admit it's shit. And what that shit is she's not fully into the relationship because part of her heart is still, back in Texas. It's back with this guy, right?
mhm.
So once you recognize that, I think that was the click conversation because I'd been
Yeah.
talking to you about it. But as soon as I said to you, I remember we were playing a game. If you guys play Hunt Showdown, you'll understand. But we're in a house and we're like killing monsters and finishing up the match. And he's asking me about this. And at some point, I got kind of annoyed. He's like, "Can you explain this to me?" And I was like, "I'm not going to explain it to you. You just have to trust me, right?" But then I was like, wait, I think here's the thing that's going to sell it for you. I said, look, I'll just put it really simply. If this was a relationship worth having, she would be in it as much as you are, but she obviously isn't because she's still into this other guy. And do you really want to be the guy? And then you asked me, you said, yeah, but what if I can still get the girl in the end, right? What if she
Like
gets
what
over
if I
her?
can what if I fight for her? What if it's like,
Yes,
like
yes, you.
like the movies and books where like the guy persists and it's all very romantic.
Mhm.
Um, I asked you about that,
Yeah,
and you said, sometimes sometimes like even if you're quote unquote the winner, you're not actually the winner.
right.
You get the girl, but at what cost? And that cost, would be your dignity, would be your submission into the relationship, and in the long term, it you didn't say it, but painted the picture that it wouldn't be a happy, ideal relationship.
No, no, because you know, this guy was playing chess against you without even trying to play chess.
Hmm.
So you're over here like, fuck, I gotta move my queen, I gotta do this. And he's not even paying attention. He's
Yeah.
playing chess with, it's life isn't always about this, like, who's the bigger man, right? But sometimes you do need to see it from that perspective. And you need to think, do I really want to win this girl when this guy wasn't even having to do anything?
Hmm. Yeah.
he's out of the relationship, you
Yeah.
know, and
I've
and
done everything I could
yeah,
into that relationship, and I presented the best version of myself, which now is pretty great, I think. But after everything I had to offer, she still wasn't sold on it. Then, there's only so much you can do. And she even said herself, like, she's not ready for another serious relationship since she wasted the last 5 years with this guy, doesn't want to jump into another relationship so soon. So sometimes people just aren't ready.
yeah,
And yeah, no, it's fine. It is what it is, but you can't let that stop you. You gotta like keep moving forward.
yeah,
And like you said, there's always somebody better. And even though it might take a while sometimes to find like, a gem, um,
yeah,
they're still out there.
yeah. And I mean, you probably felt pretty bad about your last relationship, and
Hmm.
then you aren't even thinking about it anymore. You're focused on this one.
Exactly. No, yeah, you're right. I dated this girl for 2 or 3 years, and this was during my coaching with Hector when I got with this girlfriend. And yeah, I mean, I thought I was gonna marry her. I thought we're, gonna have a future together. And turned out we had some very fundamental differences in our values surrounding like religion and spirituality and other stuff. And we we kind of ended things very abruptly, and I, was really suffering over her for a while. But after 2 or 3 months, I had, still the skills that Hector taught me, and I ended up getting with 3 or 4 other girls in that time until I started dating this new girl. And that time period was my hoe phase, if you will, and helped me get over my ex-girlfriend. Then I started dating the new girl, and I still have those skills to kind of help me through these periods of challenging growth and periods of heartache. So I mean the skills that are always going to be there.
Right.
Once you learn something, it becomes like so obvious. It's like, oh yeah, like that's of course that's how things are. Of course that's what I should do.
Mhm.
You know.
So the skills that we worked on, okay, so let's give a timeline for these guys. So we worked together 2017. By the end of 3 months, I can't promise you guys that you're gonna have a girlfriend in 3 months. Like Andre did have some basic social skills, right? If you're a guy who doesn't, and that's completely okay. But if you're starting from absolute scratch, is it possible for you to? I mean, I can't predict the future, right? But this is something that you could possibly see is happening. And the more work you put in, the more you're going to get. And he even admitted, he's like, I didn't even work that hard, right? Because there was a period where we weren't doing calls because I'm the kind of guy where if you're not approaching girls, there's nothing to talk about. If you want to see me lecture, go on my YouTube videos. Coaching is I'm working with you, and I can't work with you unless you're bringing me back some materials to work with, which are your experiences. So he already had some basic social skills, and he didn't even work that hard, and he still got a girlfriend within 3 months. So don't let that be an expectation that you're going to get the same results, but still let it be known that you can get results that quickly. And by our 10th call, we didn't even finish it. He had the girlfriend. Then he kind of got, sucked into that relationship for better or worse. And then it lasted for how long? 3 years?
3 years.
3 years.
Hmm.
And then he broke up with her and, he kind of had his fun. And then he got with this girl, a year ago. And then I remember I helped you we did our other call right at the start. Or no, I was texting you and you were asking me,
Oh, yeah. So during the start of this relationship, she was still talking to this ex-boyfriend. And she was talking to both of us, and she told me like, "Oh, he's coming over tonight." So you told me to basically give her an ultimatum and said, if he comes over, then we're done. You
yeah,
know, we're not going to see each other anymore.
yeah,
So a couple hours later, she texted me and said, "I told him not to come," meaning like she chose me.
right.
And that wasn't something that I would have done on my own.
Hmm.
I wouldn't have known to be so
Have your
bold,
boundaries. Yeah.
yeah, and have these boundaries because it was something that I felt, obviously, like I don't want this other guy interfering with, this girl I'm
Because you
starting to
guys were
date.
seeing each other for a while. Like,
Yeah, we were seeing each other pretty casually, but I also didn't want her ex-boyfriend to come into the picture and me having to compete, with the 5-year relationship that they had and all the, time they had spent together. It was like an uphill battle for me. So I told her like it's either me or him at this point. And given all the frustration she had with him at the time, she told him not to come over that night anymore, and I went instead.
yeah,
So that was a period when we were just texting
right.
casually.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
me
yeah.
and me and Hector, we were just kind of exchanging some texts. It wasn't formal like video calls like he usually does.
Yeah, and I normally don't tell guys to do that. I normally tell guys, yeah, don't push that hard. But I remembered that I could tell you did like her a bit more at that point, and it's what you wanted, you know.
Hmm.
And for my clients, I have certain worldviews and I have certain desires, and early on in my coaching, I think I was trying to always tell guys to do the absolute perfect thing according to what I thought they should do. But then I learned that's not how it works. Like you guys have to go through your own journeys, and basically I try to save you pain, right?
Hmm.
And now that the relationship is finished, you know, I can kind of tell you now, like you kind of got into a situation that was already full of mines, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
But it's what you wanted to do, you know?
Yeah.
And and you were happy with it though, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it was great. It was the best relationship I had over the last year.
right.
Um, but like we said, sometimes, she's just not ready and
Yeah,
there's only so much you can do. And you got to have like the boundaries and self-respect to not like stay in that minefield and keep getting hurt.
right.
And you've elucidated that very, very well for me. And
And go ahead.
yeah, like you held up the light and said, "Hey, you're in this dark cave, but you hold up the lantern and you're like, by the way, there's all these landmines here." So just
Mhm.
something I wouldn't have been able to see myself, at least not right away.
Yeah. And you said, okay, I want to go hop around landmines. And it's like, okay, if you want to hop, sometimes I've been in those relationships, and some are more toxic than what you were in. What you were in wasn't even that toxic. I think it was
It
just
was, I don't think it
it
was.
was just not ready.
Yeah.
But I've been in way worse, right? But I remember at the beginning I was like, yeah, is he starting this on the best foundation that you could possibly have? No, it's not a blank slate. It's not like she's completely free for, but you know what? This is what he wants. So told you how to do it, and it worked. Sometimes it works,
Hmm.
sometimes it doesn't. You can't force someone to be in a relationship with you.
Yeah.
But it worked because you put your boundaries. You didn't do it in a toxic way. You just said, "Hey, I really like you, but we're reaching this impasse where I think if you're gonna hook up with him, I mean, he's coming over. If you're gonna hook up with
Hmm.
your ex-boyfriend, then I think that, that's not really cool with me at this point." Then she made a decision and she said, okay, I, I'm going to choose you. And
Hmm.
I think that obviously she wanted to, but
Hmm.
her heart wasn't fully in it. And that was revealed at the end. She gave it a try. You gave it a try. And then after 1 year of relatively good times, it was revealed she's not completely ready.
Hmm.
And she was mature enough to not drag you down
Yeah.
with that. And that's a very, that gives her credit. We got to give her
Hmm.
props for having the
No,
maturity.
I totally agree. One of her strengths is she's a very good communicator and wants to get at the root of the problem. And so having that open dialogue has been very helpful in the relationship and something that I've also developed, as I've as I've continued to mature. But that open dialogue and stating your intentions clearly, like you told me how to do, was very helpful, at least at the beginning and even at the end, where we ended things amicably because of it.
Good. I'm happy to hear. And so we even just did some live coaching right here because you didn't update me on it being 100% done, but that's why when you got on the call, there was something about you that was changed. because I had
Uh,
seen your haircut and I was like, oh, did you get like, are you single now? You're in your like, let's go have fun kind of phase. And I picked up on it. Interesting. Okay,
I
cool.
mean, I've always had this haircut.
Yeah. The haircut, I think it was the vibe. I felt some sort of change in
Mm,
it. But, because we had just talked about it a couple days ago and we had planned this interview and then I guess it happened.
yeah.
So, if you're watching this and you resonate with what he's talking about, then maybe I'm the right coach for you. And, I'll teach you how to talk to girls, go on dates, da da da. I helped him with so many things. And then also, if you're in a relationship, how to communicate properly, how to have boundaries, how to take those next steps, like moving in together or even getting married. It's all stuff that I've personally gone through. And so I can tell you how to do it the right way. And so, if you resonate with any of that, then, feel free to sign up for coaching. This is probably going to be on my testimonies page on the website. You can just navigate in the top bar and you can find where to sign up for coaching. We can talk for 10 minutes and you can see if me and you will be a good fit. We'll have a little consultation and I'll kind of scan through, your resume of who you are and what you've been through and what you've experienced and what you want to be at and what you want to achieve. Andrei wanted a girlfriend. Some guys want girlfriends. Some guys want to find the love of their life and get married. Other guys just want to get a new girl every week or at least a new girl every month. Or some guys just want to have their first kiss or their first date, whatever it is you want. I'll do my best to help you get there. And our coaching will be pretty much exactly what you've been seeing with me and Andrei while we've been talking. You tell me about something that happened, and I come back to you with my experiences and
Insight.
my insights, and I'm gonna tailor it to you because I could come 100% with the sledgehammer, but you might not be ready for that. Like you may need to because again I can say this all in retrospect, and Andrei understands I say this with love, but like I knew his first girlfriend wasn't the right one for him, and he remembers me telling him that, and I was not shy about it. Now I'm a little bit more classy, or no, what's the best word? I'm a little bit more careful with how I tell things, but I remember telling him, I was like, hey, I'm seeing some things here. I'm getting some readings. My Geiger counter is showing some radioactivity. Is this, I can see a little cancer, a tumor kind of forming. Maybe this isn't the right path to go down. But hey, he decided to go down that path and he had a nice relationship. There were some troubles, but for the most part, he was pretty happy. Then he was single, had some fun, and then he got in this relationship. I remember early on I did make a few comments, but I was like, okay, you want to get into this? That's fine. Go for it. Da da da. You had your fun for a year, and then now you're free. And then
Mhm.
whatever happens next, I don't know, right? And you may not even need me to help you with it, or you may want me to help you with it. It's up to you, right? But you know, you're going to be going through whatever journey that you're going to go through, and I'm going to do my best to be there by your side, and I'm going to try and encourage you. I'm going to be harsh sometimes when I believe it's necessary, but I'm also not going to tell you everything because you're not ready to hear everything. Just like Andre's a doctor. Sometimes he has to give pretty bad diagnosis to people, and sometimes he doesn't. And when he gives those diagnoses, he tries to be as honest as possible and give people a range of options of what they can do, and it's your choice on whether you want to do surgery, you want to do lifestyle changes, or you don't want to do anything because you don't give a fuck anymore. It's your choice and it's your life. I'm just going to do my best to be your doctor along the way. Okay. So, oh, and real quick, I did want to ask you, you said that you saw that guy who was kind of the clown in your work environment.
Right.
Were there any situations where the social skills of knowing how to date and have relationships really, really translated to your professional field? Because I want guys to understand that this is a universal skill that applies to everything. Was there anything like
Mhm.
one last thing that you remember was just like my social skills helped me with this?
Probably the most impactful thing was during my medical school interviews, and even my residency interviews, to come across as confident, put together, and in charge of my own volition, and come across as somebody who knows their shit, is confident in their abilities, and really be the best candidate for the position. So during my interviews, I was asked a lot of questions about, would you do this? Would you do that? For example, somebody asked me if I didn't match into residency, if I didn't become a doctor this year, would you still do medicine? And I told them, without any shame, I said no, because at this point I've put in so much work, and if it doesn't culminate into what I want, then it's not meant for me, and it's not something I want to keep pursuing and wasting my time on. So I will do business, or I will do, this and that. And they really respected that answer. They're like, oh, like we have a lot of candidates that say, oh yeah, of course I'm going to try harder next year. I'm going to improve my application. Very, very kind of
The answer they
self.
think that you want to hear.
Yeah, the answer they think they want to hear, and I give them a very honest, unfiltered answer, and it was something different than what they're usually expecting, and I could tell they really respected and were impressed by that answer, even if it wasn't what they wanted to hear.
Mhm.
But I probably couldn't have done that without the confidence and without the intuition of being solid on a solid foundation with myself.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a great note to end on. Thank you, Andre, for this
Yeah,
little
my
testimony.
pleasure. It's
So
been great.
yeah, good. I'm happy to hear. So, like I said, I'm still getting my website together. So if you're watching this, the website is together. So navigate your way to where I have the sign up sheet to um, book a consultation call with me, and we'll see if you can end up being the next Andre, and get your dating life to where you want it to be. So this is Hector Castillo. Thank you again, Andre, for coming,
My
and
pleasure.
I'll see you guys. Ciao.
Ciao. One of the things,
We're
I
adding
feel like
something to
what
the end of this video. Sorry, trying
PS.
to. He
PS.
wanted to add something in, so I'm gonna let Andre. This is the PS to the video.
When, people in your day-to-day life give you advice, I feel like is not necessarily, I'm sure they want what's best for you, but I sometimes feel like people have hidden motivations or hidden like reasons, and they might tell you to do something that they would do or might not be in your best interest. I think Hector's advice, comes from a place of love and honestly wanting what's best for you without any ulterior motives. And it was a realization I had long after our coaching call, but it's somebody that you can be completely 100% honest with because he's not in your everyday life. He doesn't, hang out with you or anything like that. So he's a very neutral third party, and his advice comes from a place of like he actually wants what's best for you, and was something that I don't think a lot of other people in your day-to-day life can offer.
Cool. There was one that there's a little part of me that as you're saying that I'm like, yeah, except for the fact that you're paying me. But then I was like, wait, that actually makes me pretty neutral
Yeah.
because there's an exchange going on where it's like, okay, I'm getting my value, so I'm selfishly incentivized. Yes, there is goodwill in my heart, but nobody knows that, right? They don't know that
Hmm.
until after they work with me. Then they're like, oh, this guy actually gave a shit about me.
Yeah.
But what you can be assured about is that once you have satisfied my need to get paid for my services, my number one concern is with giving you results, right?
Hmm.
And the best way to give you results is to tell you the truth, because there's nothing more powerful than the truth. So if I give you the truth that's best for you, that's not only best for you, but it's best for me, because you're going to be like, oh, that guy gave me good shit, so I want to go back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, like the advice, it doesn't have any ulterior motives. Like you already paid for it, and the only like motivation he has is for to see you do well. And like I said, it's something that is pretty unique in the sense of advice and in the world.
Real quick, PPS, right? An additional,
PP.
uh, or is it PSS? No, it's PPS. Yeah, it's
Post script.
postscript. Yeah, you the one of the best experiences I think that actually you could have for guys. Now this is not healthy, but but it's still a cool experience. Was you had a huge crush on a girl in high school, but it's basically like the girl
Hmm.
you could never get, and she thought you were a loser, and she
Yeah.
she rejected you and lost you, and then
Hmm.
you somehow got give the story of how you actually ended up sleeping with her, and she went crazy for you and wanted to move in with you, and then you flipped the roles and you were like, no, I don't want to be with this girl. So give the quick
Right.
story of that, because that's the story that guys will absolutely lose their shit for, of you hooking up with the girl who rejected you in high school, and then the roles got reversed.
Yeah, so growing up in high school, I had no skill with girls, absolutely none whatsoever. I got all my advice from like these mainstream sources, and it's all terrible advice, frankly. So I did all these things. I chased this girl. I like bought her a bunch of shit, gave her compliments up the ass, and she like was very, very not into me and rejected me for 4 years of high school. I was crazy about this girl. And then after college, kind of didn't really talk to her, so we've been out of each other's life for 7 years. After I broke up with my first girlfriend that I got during Hector's coaching, we got back in touch and we just started messaging each other like on Instagram here and there. And I'm like, hey, why don't you? I live in Florida now. Why don't you come visit? And she's like, okay. So she came. She spent her own money, came, to across the country, and like even like picking her up at the airport, she was like so ecstatic to see me. So like definitely 100% 180 from how she was in high school with me. Very cold, very distant, very detached. And I was just like, what like happened? Like what's different? Like I'm still the same guy, right? But a lot more knowledgeable and a lot more mature. But um, we didn't even like get all the way home and we were already making out in my car. And that was something we had a date like senior year of high school where I took her out to dinner, fancy like Italian restaurant. I spent a lot of money. And then we like had a little peck of a kiss at the end of our date. And she's like, you know what? Like, it's not for me. Like, I really don't feel it. And, fast forward all this time later, we're making out in my car after she spent all this money to come see me. So she stayed for a week. We had sex like every day. And it was like the pinnacle of like me achieving like what little me was like dreaming about, right? Like this girl was like super like the girl. And I had sex with her and it was wonderful as I thought it would be. And she caught feelings like very, very hard. And part of it, I think, is because I'm, a high value guy. Like I'm gonna be a doctor, and I have my shit together, which is I think more than 90% of people out there. I don't know, but I told her like when we started like that week or like before she even came, like, hey, we're not gonna be dating. Like you live there, I live here. We're like 3,000 miles apart. We're 3,000 miles apart. Like this can't work out. And she's like, yeah, yeah, okay, okay. We'll just see how it is. We'll just see like what it would have been like to have dated you in high school. Just to see what if we would have been compatible together, something like
Did she
that.
ever pull any bullshit where she was like, "Yeah, I really liked you back then. I just, I just
Yeah,
did she like rewrite
yeah,
history and make it
yeah.
seem
She's
like
like, no, I always really liked you. I thought you didn't like me, and I'm like, oh, fucking shit.
that's some
Like
bullshit, bro?
that's such bullshit.
That's some grade A bullshit.
Because I chased you so hard, and you even told me you don't date white guys, and
Oh
it's just
my
like.
god.
And I'm like, I know you dated like two other white guys before me. And she just pretended like she has no memory of that. And um,
Oh man.
so anyway, had like a fantastic week with her, and then she went back home, and we had like talked about, oh yeah, like you should come visit again like sometime. And she's like, yeah, sure, whatever. While she was there, she talked with all of our mutual friends that now we're together, and she's gonna move in with
You
me, and
you were
she's gonna
hearing
be.
this from the friends.
So I had heard this after the fact from the
Yeah.
friends.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, my friends who told me like, oh yeah, she was saying all this stuff that she's gonna move in with you, she's gonna like be there with you and like be your girlfriend. And I had, I thought I made it very clear that that's not gonna happen because there's all this distance between us. I can't date you when you're in a different time zone, basically.
Mhm.
So I had heard this after the fact from our friends, and then I told her, you know what, don't come anymore. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't want you to come anymore. And she started saying, "Well, should I go anyway?" to our mutual friends, like, "Should I go anyway? Like, I already bought a ticket. Um, like, I can
Imagine
just
if the
show up.
roles were reversed.
I can just show up on his door."
Holy shit.
And my friends were the real homies. They're like, "No, don't do it. Like, are you kidding? Like, he told you not to come. Like, just leave it alone." So anyway, I feel really, really bad because I feel like I kind of broke her heart.
Yeah, yeah, you're still a human being, but Jesus Christ, that's
But the roles were just like so reversed, and
that's
honestly,
probably why
after,
it had such an effect on her.
yeah,
Because the roles were reversed.
yeah, I was not into her like she. I mean, I was into her, but seeing her with my 27, 28-year-old perspective,
Hmm.
she didn't really grow up from where we had begun.
She was
She was
still
still
as
in the
hot, but she never grew up here.
She never grew up here, and
Hmm.
it wasn't gonna work for me. So, we had a lot of fun. She's still really hot, but
Yeah, I still loved fucking her. That's the thing about guys. The girl, if she has that perspective, she's not gonna enjoy fucking you. Or I guess in the case of like she had a fun fling when she was young, and then you guys meet up 6 years later, and you have a bunch of wild sex, and then she's like, yeah, but this guy never evolved. Then she's not gonna marry you and stuff, right?
yeah.
So
But I
you,
think she saw how much I had grown, and
yeah,
and how much
yeah, of course.
I became.
And you're gonna
You
be
know,
a
I
doctor.
I became a doctor. I'm fit. I'm going to the gym every day and having this wonderful life. And she's, not to bag on her, but she's still in the same place that she used to be, and that doesn't really have much going for her. So I'm like, coming like what I bring to the table versus what she brings to the table, it doesn't match up for me. So I rejected her, and not with those words, but I, told her not to come,
Yeah,
and yeah,
yeah.
she was very devastated, and I found out later from my friends, and I really hope she's doing well. I obviously didn't mean to like hurt her or anything like that, but
And I
um,
told you that when it happened because I knew how you felt. I fucking know how you felt because you're a human being, and I would feel the exact same way. I'd be like, I got, like first
yeah,
you're
yeah,
you're
I
like,
felt amazing. I felt
yeah,
on top of the world.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
this was like the culmination of like little me
yeah,
finally becoming who I wanted to be,
yeah,
and like getting the girl and like being this stud. But yeah, but now that I have a different perspective, like what I wanted back then isn't the same as what I want now. And yeah, no, I mean, like you said, I'm sure you've had these feelings. I'm sure you've been through these situations, and like I said, I just I hope she's doing well. I really want what's best for her.
yeah, yeah. And I remember when you felt that way, and I could smell it through the phone. I was like, I know Andre is just feeling big dick swagger, like,
Yeah,
no matter how kind you are, like some part of you is like, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
told you, I remember specifically telling you, I know how you feel, but try not to give too much into that feeling. She is heartbroken. She's a human being. You know, I know you feel big pimpin', but try to have compassion for her. And it's good. You've kept that perspective. And then before I wanted to use this story because as soon as you said it, I was like, holy crap, guys need to hear this. Like, this is literally the epitome of when your dream girl becomes just another girl, and
Hmm.
that's one of the best things that can happen to you because it's actually one of the most respectful things you can do because you're not putting this woman on a pedestal as some goddess. She's just another person and she has flaws, and you've gone here and she's kind of still here. She's still an attractive person. She's still a person worthy of respect, but you've kind of leveled up. And so you wanted to tell me that there's been an update actually recently with this. So give me the final update.
So the update was like what I had found out from our mutual friends,
Oh,
that
okay.
she was going around telling everybody we knew that she's with me, she's gonna come here and move in with me. And I remember like the last time we had sex, she's like, all right, I want you to come in me, and I'm like, I don't know if
Woo!
that's a good idea. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good idea. Like, what if you get pregnant? And she's like, wouldn't be the worst thing. And I
Did
was
you
just
tell me
like,
about this?
I don't know if I did,
Ooh.
but it's like at that moment, like, my dick brain.
Mm,
was overridden by my logical brain. I'm like, wait a minute, this girl's trying to trap me into
yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah.
And
Are you from a
at
small
that
town?
point, no, I'm from a pretty big city.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, because in my head, that's like small town girl didn't like average Joe. Average Joe becomes, high
Super
profile
Saiyan.
Super Saiyan, right? And then now she wants to get with him and wants his babies and is gonna try and
Yeah.
lock him down. So this is even better though. She isn't some small town girl with no options. She's actually a girl in a big city with decent
Hmm.
options and still wants to trap you like you're some NBA player and is trying
Hmm.
to get knocked up by you before you get drafted so that she can be part of the squad and we you know we don't want to dunk on her for that and be like, oh, this is that's just her natural instincts, like, of course,
Yeah, yeah.
but that is a little bit.
But I wasn't having it. I
Yeah,
wasn't for, yeah, no, it was
yeah.
just like, I realize what you're trying to do and I don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had the foresight to kind of cut that off.
Wowee. What a That's actually the best part. Holy shit. But okay, so the update was that when you hooked up with her and then was like, hey, I don't want you to come, or, like, we're going to keep it casual, you thought that was all well understood.
Yeah.
And then you told her not to come, and then that was the end of it. What you found out
Hmm.
recently was that there was a second story going on at the same time where she was telling
Where she,
everyone we're together.
yeah, exactly. And she was texting me every day, like, good morning and good night, and I hope you have a good day at work. And I'm just
That's, yeah, that's
like,
wifey
I don't,
behavior. Yeah.
I don't know like what else to say to, like, I don't want to text you every day. I don't want to, like, say good morning and good night and, like, we're 3,000 miles apart, like we can't be together. Like, this just you're trying I felt like she was trying to trap me into a relationship when I thought I had made it very clear
You did.
that that wasn't my intention.
You did. You did make it clear. And
So that was an experience that I had, and I don't know that it would have played out the same had I not had the skills and the understanding of people that I do now. Thanks in large part to Hector's coaching.
awesome. So this is the PPS. Yeah, I'm sure
The
there'll be.
PPS, the best PP, the
Yeah, the
best.
best PPS.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is the official end to the testimony. So
Yes.
I'll go ahead and stop it there. Okay,
So
so PPS, motherfucker, because you keep missing out all that fucking story that we just told, or the story that I'm
I'm a
about to
very
tell.
reserved person. I like don't bring out like details and then I say things and it's more impactful
Then,
later
then,
on.
then, yeah, then, yeah. So whether you're watching this at the end or the beginning, depending on what my editor decides to do. So this girl in this story, the dream girl who becomes just another girl, the one who rejected you becomes the one who chases after you in a somewhat crazy manner. Tell me your history with her.
So this girl was the one I chased all throughout high school and was super like crazy about, and I wanted her, to be with her, and she was my dream girl because she rejected me, so many times, and I was at my wit's end trying to figure out how to get with her. This girl was what led me to discover like this community and the pickup like community where I was Googling things and I came across, girlschase.com, and I just started reading article after article after article, and probably for like 2 months straight, I read like, I think it was like 10 a month that you can read. I read as much as I could. Um, and she was the girl that got me into like this journey to learn how to be a better version of myself, learn how to become attractive, learn how to be, you know, who I am now, if you will. And so things didn't work out with her, but I still had all that knowledge and all those like skills that I had read about and practiced. And then I did Hector's coaching and, became a little bit more refined. And as time went on, as I became, more comfortable in my own shoes, this girl who I was so crazy about, who originally started my self-improvement journey, like you said, just became another girl. And I elevated myself so much, and not to like bash on her or anything, because I appreciate her for what she did, but I elevated myself to, a level above her that I didn't find her wife material or girlfriend material anymore.
Wow.
And like Hector said, she just became another girl. And this has been kind of like the culmination of my experience with dating, where this girl that I chased so hard for led me on this journey of self-improvement to the point where I became so much more comfortable and so much, more solid in my own skin that she wasn't hot shit anymore. She was just another girl. And now my options are a lot more diverse and broad, and I can get with girls that are 100 times better than her. So I appreciate her and I love her for the journey she put me on. Um, and she'll always like be that special place in my heart, but not something that I can ever, romantically be with. And yeah, that's kind of where I ended up because of her.
Goddamn.